You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself.
All right, folks. Well, it's Thursday. That means it is time for Jenn and Rick. We're right here live on KLRNradio.com. And it is just, well, actually, we're getting kind of a late start again. But, yeah, it is what it is. All right, so you may have noticed the intro is a little shorter. We're going to be changing things up as we go here for a little bit because we figured out we're getting yelled at by iHeart because we're playing too long of music segments. So we're going to fix that and try to resubmit. And I do have, of course, my usual co-host with me, Miss Jen Homestead. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
And jury's still out.
It's always out.
Well, I mean, it was especially lately because I'm like fighting. I'm like on round 22 of the crud and still taking like a whole medicine chest full of crap to be able to breathe. So I mean, I sound a lot better than I actually feel most of the time, and then I have days where things are okay, and then I have days where the trees that are all around my house try to kill me. This happens to be one of those days, so yay.
That's
Joys of living in the middle of nowhere and being surrounded by cedar trees. I had no idea how allergic I was to them until I lived all around them. Yay. Yeah, what can I say? All right, so lots of interesting things in the news, and of course, Trump is back in the news again. Not that he ever leaves.
Did you get to watch the press conference?
Actually, I will be honest. I kind of tuned it out.
Well, I didn't get to watch it. I've read a good chunk of the transcript and seen a few clips, but I don't know. I mean, I like to see it when my Facebook feed, which is almost all like super liberals, when they're just like having a meltdown and freaking out and like, oh, now you're interested in presidential press conferences. Okay, everybody's an expert now on what the executive should be doing, and how they're allowed to talk in a press conference and who they're allowed to talk about. I mean, it's really quite fun to watch, even though I still think he's a total buffoon. But it was very enjoyable to see all the reactions.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen and heard bits and pieces. Of course, I really didn't do too much to pay attention to the whole thing. I have to be honest, as much as it pains me to say this, listening to him sometimes reminds me of when I used to have no choice but to listen to Obama. I'm not going through another 4 years of that. I'm not even going to lie about it. I'm just going to find the clips that I want to talk about, and that's probably going to be about the gist of it, because I really cannot stand it when he starts opining. And it's all he does.
Right. Well, I think, though, of course, the main thing is like stuff about the press and him admonishing the press. And I really hate when people mischaracterize, the freedom of the press to mean that a government official can never criticize them or say anything. It's always eye roll worthy, sure. And it is whether it's a Democrat or a Republican doing it. But there's absolutely nothing in the Constitution that inhibits the free press just because a government official, berates them or talks trash about them. I mean, it's kind of par for the course. It's what they do to you your whole campaign. I mean, you do it to them another time, whatever. I just can't get too outraged about it until there's actual action taken to actually restrict and silence somebody. And I don't mean just not taking a question. That doesn't count. That is not silencing the press. They're under no obligation to call on certain members of the press, namely people like the New York Times and Washington Post, that feel like they are entitled to be able to question the president or his press secretary. I don't have any sympathy for that. I don't care. He can call on whoever he likes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's his press conference. I mean, you can't really get upset at, that's like, I saw something, and I don't remember who put it out, but I guess they were offended because he called on Town Hall instead of AP.
Mm-hmm. It was Katie Pavlich.
It's his press conference. He's allowed to call on whoever he wants.
Well, that's my deal. They still get to report. See, if they weren't allowed to report on what he was saying, that would be infringing on their right as a free press. But they're all there. They all listen to his answers. And just because they didn't get to ask a question doesn't invalidate the press conference, and it doesn't invalidate the First Amendment. It's so stupid for them to get so crazy about it. And Katie Pavlich's question was decent. It wasn't anything, and they were calling it like crazy, or these conservative outlets that he's calling on like they no longer, they don't have any credibility and they're not asking pertinent questions. And that's just not true. It's just not the questions they wanted to ask.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I actually like the fact that honestly, that's one of the things that he's done that I actually like. I like the fact that he's expanding the press pool. I like the fact that he's bringing in some of the people that have put the blood, sweat, and the tears in to try to get themselves built up into something that is considered reputable, and they're actually starting to get some attention. I like that. I don't like the fact that apparently Alex Jones may or may not have been included in that. That is a rumor I have not been able to confirm, but I keep seeing it circulate, so I hope it's wrong. I hope.
Wait, that what?
I keep hearing that Alex Jones' outfit is actually one of the satellite folks. Like the ones that can do it via Skype or something.
Yeah, and I heard that, but this keeps changing, because initially it was that they were approved for press credentials to the White House pool, which turned out not to be true. Then it was that they were going to be given access to certain press press conferences, and then that turned out not to be true. And so I don't know. I'll just have to wait and see if that actually happens. I mean, I will be incredibly disgusted, but even still, I'm like, he can pull up whoever he wants in there. I don't really care. That it's not like the AP doesn't have a seat. They do.
Well, and they've had, actually, if you want to get technical, they've probably had one of the biggest seats at the table for a long time, and I think that's why they've gotten their feathers ruffled, because all of these upstarts are suddenly starting to horn in on their territory, and I don't think they like it very much. It's honestly the same kind of thing that a lot of us that have been doing this internet broadcasting thing for a while are getting from certain radio stations, because a lot of the muckety mucks in the FCC side of things, where the radio stations actually have to be licensed, registered, etc., blah blah blah. They're one of the ones that actually pushed for all of these changes to the ASCAP BMI rules, which has actually put folks like Live 365 out of business, because they've seen their share of ad revenue slowly dwindling over time, and they're trying to find ways to fight it. That's like we put out an announcement last week because the main carrier for our broadcast right now, which is Spreaker, has actually started an ad revenue program. So for those of you who don't know, if you can't help us out any other way, as long as you listen to the shows and interact with the ads that you hear at the very beginning, we get paid. So just, have fun with those.
Well, and I think, there has always been some sort of access by, there's been access from what maybe started out as more neutral sources and publications and just in general, like the press that started out more neutral, and maybe they, there were some that started leaning leftist long ago, showing their bias a whole lot more in places other than just the editorial. But it's been a long time. I mean, during the Obama years, the press was basically non-critical for the most part. So I think it warrants a little bit of a changeover, because now you can argue that, some members of the press work for organizations that are the almost a left equivalent to a town hall or something like that, based on what they put out and what they allowed to be printed. So I think it's totally fine for them to accept some of these conservative news sites, and especially if they are being, fairly accountable, they are asking questions that are relevant, that are, but even then I'm like, who cares? Because the press just, threw up softballs for Obama for so long that, like, I don't even care about the quality of their questions. I think it'll work itself out in the long run, and you'll hear back from people about it. Other people that support Trump that are in power in his administration will hear about it from the people at home. So I think these things kind of have an ebb and flow with depending on who's in charge of the executive. And I don't really care about it too much. I don't care about the whining, and it's not unconstitutional. So I don't give a flip. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I am with it. I guess the main reason that I really have he has like a press conference now every day. He was just on TV yesterday with Netanyahu. Now, I paid attention to that one because I thought it was important. And this one started out as something that seemed like it was going to be important. And then like 5 minutes in, it turned into, let's beat the crap out of the press, which was entertaining for about another 3 minutes till I got bored.
Right.
I just kept I kept waiting for Linda McMahon to come out of the wings with a chair and just start beating up on the presser. Oh, sorry. Wrestling joke probably went over people's heads. Anyway. Okay, so you and I actually have not talked about this yet, but I want to get your take on it because I spent actually more of the show yesterday than I intended talking about this. The whole Flynn resignation thing. What's your take?
It was the right move. I was never a fan of Flynn to begin with. I don't think that they should have pushed for him in the first place. But it was the right move to ask for the resignation. However, it does seem like, and based on Conway's comments alone, it seems like basically the only reason that they really asked for the resignation wasn't because they thought that he needed to tender one, but because of public pressure and political backlash after people found out, what seems to be a little bit of nefarious dealings with the Russians before he was actually confirmed. And I don't know what all of those are, and I don't think that it's cool. I am against leaks on all sides. I think it was wrong with the Edward Snowden issue. I think it's wrong coming from the intelligence community. I think it sets us up to be in quite a bad position as far as protecting our national security and our, not just our executive, but our entire governmental body. I think saying that it's okay because it was the intelligence community that did it because they're fed up with X, Y, or Z is pretty much a piss poor defense. But it's not okay if this other government worker leaks it and they get X amount in jail or they're hiding out in another country. I just have always thought it should not be political expediency. It should not be that shouldn't be the reason you approve it, because otherwise you're going to find yourself walking a line that it's going to benefit you sometimes and it's going to not benefit you others. And you can't say I'm happy with one and not happy with the other and not be hypocritical. I don't know. The whistleblowers, the leaking, that all bothers me, and it bothers me especially if it really was from the intelligence community. I think that is a horrible place to be for the United States.
Here's my take on it, just to summarize, since everybody heard me do this last night. I, again, like you, I have an issue with the leaking of all sides, are on all sides. What was driving me crazy is a lot of the same people that have been cheering on WikiLeaks for the last several months are now mad over these particular leaks. And I understand that they're different animals, don't get me wrong. That was something that kept being pointed out to me over and over again, is it's different scenarios. And I get that. But even President Trump said something that just floored me, because when it was Hillary's emails and the leaks were coming out, who cares how we got the information? Look at the content. Now this comes out and he's like, well, who cares about the information? What about the leaks? It's like everything's done a 180. And here's my thing with it. Look, the FBI has already cleared him. I don't know whether he's done anything that was wrong or not. My issue is with it, at some point, at somewhere in his soul, he knew he did something he wasn't supposed to, because if he was okay, I mean, we're talking about a lieutenant general here, and he lied to the vice president and the president about whether or not he had this conversation. That's my problem with all of it. I don't care whether he thought he did anything wrong or not. The fact that you went to your superiors and you said, nope, that didn't happen. Nope, don't worry about it. No big deal. I don't know where this is coming from. Oh, crap, they found out. Oh, no. Well, remember last week when I said that didn't really happen? Well, I kind of lied about that. I'm sorry. I mean, look, why lie? I mean, that's my thing with it. I mean,
And I do think also then even from there, so he lies to them, and then they are actually okay, according to what seems to be what Conway was saying on Sunday, was like they were okay with it until then other people found out. The president already knew and hadn't asked for resignation, but then people find out, the press finds out, however that all went down, and so then now Trump asks for the resignation. So I think that's the thing to criticize and be concerned about, not, well, all of it's concerning, but that is one more thing to be concerned about for me as far as the judgment of Trump goes. But I am still glad that at least it happened and the resignation was tendered, and Flynn is no longer an issue. And I will say I'll miss some of his son's rantings about things. I'm sure he's not done. He's probably not done.
I actually forgot about that. He will probably start ranting a lot more now that Dad's about to be out of spotlight. So that could be show fodder for months. Oh, I actually forgot about that because I don't know. I mean, look, I was never really a fan of Flynn's to begin with. One of the things that concerns me about all this is, let's not forget that Donald Trump made a campaign promise of hiring the best and the brightest to be in his cabinet, and we got Flynn.
Right.
I mean, again, I call him as I see him. You made a promise. So far, your cabinet, I've liked some of the choices. Some of them concern me. As I said from day one, I was a little mad that the made-up Fairyland position that was created for Valerie Jarrett wasn't removed as soon as you were sworn into office, and instead you've appointed Bannon to the same position that we used to make fun of, and now we're supposed to be okay with it. I'm not. I don't like some of the choices that he's made. But again, at the same time, I mean, this is armchair quarterbacking. I'm not president. I understand that. He's the one that gets all the briefings. He knows things that I'm never going to know, and he has to decide what's important and what's not. For some reason, they decided that it was okay that Flynn lied to them until the press found out. But the one thing that I will say, and I will give the administration props for this, even if it took them a while, even if it was a delayed reaction, at least he resigned. Because let's not forget, Hillary Clinton lied about much, much more than this, and she was actually the Democratic frontrunner for president.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, at least they did the right thing in the end. And also, I don't really know how long that was. There are all sorts of speculation about that. Some say it was a week. Some say it was longer. Some say it was days. So I don't really know that they weren't considering a move and were, doing their due diligence to decide what to do about him. And then their hand was forced with with the press finding out. So I can't speak to what their intentions were. I can't assume to know what was going on there without any sort of, real admission or facts. But in the end, like you said, he resigned. So good.
So, one other little interesting kind of role reversal here between the two administrations. So, and I just completely lost my train of thought because I just saw something pop up on my newsfeed. Yay! So anyway, there was somewhere I was going to go with this. I'm trying to remember, but I was just completely...
Something about the Obama administration, too.
Well, it was the difference between the two administrations, and it was something about this... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was it. Okay, so the FBI. Under the Obama administration, FBI clears Hillary Clinton. Democrats cheer, Republicans boo. Under the Trump administration, FBI clears Flynn, Republicans cheer, Democrats boo. Are we supposed to trust the FBI or not? And why is it different just because there's been a change at the top? Because as far as I can tell, a lot of the other positions are still exactly the same. I'm so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Because people are hypocritical and people like who they like and they don't like who they don't. And they like when political maneuvering works in their favor, and they don't like it when it doesn't. It's brilliant when it does. It's sneaky and underhanded when it doesn't. So that's just pretty much it. I mean, everybody's partisan, and I'm not immune to that. I try to think about things and not be hypocritical in my judgments of administrations, but we're all human. But most people don't care. I mean, most people truly are, people that are interested in politics casually, are, one-sided and biased, and they don't care that they're biased. It doesn't matter to them. So on both sides. So it doesn't, that's just something we're always going to deal with and always have to be able to recognize.
Yeah. No,
that's why there's Trump. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that it hit me and then I lost it. And believe it or not, what actually got me so discombobulated, I forgot what I was going to talk about. Apparently, there are refugee students suing the school district in Pennsylvania because the school's not good enough for them.
Sorry, for some reason it was delayed there for a minute. I got a little and then it finished. Oh, technology.
Nice. All right, so yeah, anyway. It just kind of really threw me off because I'm trying to read or get my thoughts together, and all of a sudden I read a story about refugee students suing school districts in Pennsylvania, and I'm like,
yes, of course they are. This immigration thing has really kind of exploded, and wasn't today the day without immigrants or whatever. And I think it's really, it's one more time where they push to pull on heartstrings and conflate all immigrants, illegal with legal, and make it seem like anyone who is not pro-illegal immigrant is anti-immigrant, period. And it's such a bogus claim. It's utter BS. And then also trying to compare immigration before we actually had limited immigration laws on the books, comparing that immigration with immigration today and saying we're a nation of immigrants, and yet, well, yes, we are, but our situation was much different then, and we had pretty much open immigration no matter what. And that is not comparable to a modern day society and to modern population numbers in any country. I get really sick of, the dishonest conversation about this and people just screaming at other people that they're, not compassionate, they're inhumane, they're anti-rights, all of these things. It's just absurd, and it's been so worn out. And today was the day without immigrants, and there were places that were closed. And the harshest part of me says investigate every single one of them. Investigate every single business that closed. Take it as an admission of guilt of hiring illegals. The nice side of me says, what a bunch of idiots. And, they're not understanding the issue here. They're trying, they do, but they're trying to mislead on the issue here. And they've convinced all of these people to lose a day of work and a day of business. And joke's on them.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, the interesting thing about this is I actually saw a post today in my area about everybody that, goes and tries to get lunch at the taco trucks, and all of a sudden none of them are around. They're like, where'd all the taco trucks go? They're like, oh, yeah, it's National Immigration Day or whatever. I don't understand why it is that because we don't want people to come into the country illegally that somehow we're heartless. And what I keep seeing people throw up all the time is the quote that's on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. We have had immigration laws now for quite some time. I mean, I understand that there didn't used to be immigration laws, but let's not forget, when we first started coming up with immigration laws, it was because we started looking at the things that we ourselves had done in our history and said, there should probably be some safeguards to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again. So that's one of the reasons why we started putting immigration controls in place, because we wanted to make sure that there wasn't another near extinction of the population that was here, mainly us, because we realized that we had already done it, and we should probably do something, or nearly done it, and we should probably make sure that it doesn't happen again. I don't understand why it is that every other country on the planet is allowed to decide their own fate when it comes to their borders, but somehow we don't have the right or the responsibility to do that.
Right. It's just illogical. But people want to make this an emotional issue and not a pragmatic one. And unfortunately, laws are not supposed to be made out of emotion, but we find that happening more and more. And we don't need a bunch of new laws, and we don't need a bunch of new executive orders. We need to enact the laws that are on the book. I mean, this is not that difficult. You catch people daily all over this country that get caught up, whether it's because they were pulled over for a traffic violation and they have a warrant, they have a felony on their record, they've got some sort of other illegality withstanding that they didn't appear for or whatever else, and we start there and start moving those people out. And I'm just boo-hoo, so sorry that they have a family that they're raising here. They should have thought about that, not only before they broke our laws by immigrating illegally, but then further broke our laws by, committing crimes here. It's unacceptable, and it's hardly tolerated pretty much anywhere else. And as much as people want to emulate Europe, I lived in Europe, and, Germany is now, reaping what they sowed with accepting refugees, but they didn't accept illegal immigrants to the extent that people are wanting us to do here. And when I lived there, I can't even tell you the animosity towards illegals there. In Spain and the south of France especially, I was in the Barcelona area and then up into the French Riviera. And people are over there were just absolutely and totally borderline racist about it. There was a new movement in Spain that they called 1492, and it was bumper stickers, and people had signs in their apartment building windows. And basically, so for us, 1492 is the year that America was discovered by Columbus, by the, on the Spaniards' dime. And in reality, there were several other major things that happened in Spain in 1492, and America does not take precedence for that for them because of what happened. And 1492, they expelled the Muslims and many Jews, and they allowed, it was the Moors, but they allowed Jews to stay if they established Jewish quarters, which sometimes in some areas had curfews and other restrictions of where they could go and when. And this resurgence of the movement, 1492, was a political movement about immigrants, and it focused on Muslims, but it also was kind of talking about basically anybody not there. And that was in 2007. This was not in 1981, or the 50s or the 20s. This was in 2007, and it had a lot of traction. So, forgive me that we get criticized by the entire world for not just bending over for every single illegal immigrant and granting them status, when all these other countries themselves, have their own laws, some of which are much harsher than ours, and which their populace, their constituents express a desire for even stricter, punishment and rules on immigration. I'm so over it. I'm so annoyed with us not being able to be an autonomous country that protects our borders.
So, another little interesting tidbit about, how other countries are actually allowed to enforce their borders however they choose. I guess Saudi Arabia must be Islamophobic too, because they just deported 40,000 Muslim Pakistanis citing terrorism concerns.
Woo! Dang.
Not exactly sure how Saudi Arabia can be considered Islamophobic, but,
Yeah. That's just surprising to me. I mean, Saudi Arabia isn't exactly known to be tough on radical Islam. I mean, they appear so to the international community, and because of all of their many interests around the world. But we all know that behind the scenes, they really are not opposed to some of what has gone on.
But yeah, I mean, so it probably just has more to do with the wrong flavor of Muslim, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
But anyway, I mean, there's no outrage over them banning 40,000 Pakistani Muslim refugees over terrorism concerns. Where's the outcry? Where's the media calling them Islamophobic? Why? I mean, again, Japan won't even allow you within their country if you're a Muslim. They just flat out tell you no. Why? Where's the outcry? Why is nobody talking about that? Why are we the only bad people on the planet when all we're trying to do is say, look, we honestly don't care who you are or why you're trying to come here, as long as you're not trying to come here to hurt us. We just want to be able to prove that you're not first. Why is that a problem? I don't understand.
Well, and also I've talked about this before, the hypocrisy of wanting us to be the world's savior, including taking in immigrants and granting amnesty to illegals already here and taking in refugees. But then we're also told to stay the heck out of everybody else's business and to just mind our own business. But when we do mind our own business and we want to secure our borders, then we're the devil and we're hateful and we're crazy. So it's just, none of it really lines up, and it's all whatever they want, how they want, when they want it. Whatever pet project they desire, we just need to give in to the whims of the progressives, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so one little bit of tidbit, or another little tidbit of hypocrisy here. Let's not forget, folks, the same people that keep telling us that we cannot be the world's police force want to extend our constitutional rights to the entire planet, and they just as much told us so right after President Trump made his little travel changes. We'll be right back here in just about 4 minutes.
I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go.
Message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. And just a bit of a flashback. We were talking about this on the air. For those of you that are having a cow because President Trump called on townhall.com today, let's not forget that during the campaign he legitimized the Inquirer, so it could get worse. At least they don't have press credentials yet. Notice I said yet.
Exactly.
All right. So
yet.
Anyway. So did you see the little snippet that I sent you right before showtime?
Yes, I did, about the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Yeah, which is interesting about that because, this is the second story that's kind of been one of those things where you would just assume that these people that are supposedly concerned over the environment, etc., would actually police their own trash while they're protesting something. They didn't do it in D.C. Now, the interesting thing is, during the Dakota Access Pipeline protest, they trashed the entire area, and now government officials are afraid that the trash itself may actually pollute the waterways that they were concerned about the pipeline polluting.
Right. It's taking it's like 2,500 truckloads of garbage and whatever leftover materials and human waste. I mean, this is insane.
But, it's okay because they were protesting to try to save the environment from an oil spill. So, what's a little trash when you're trying to save everybody from an oil spill? Okay, yeah. It's not working for me either. Never mind.
No, it's utterly absurd. And this was already obvious that it was happening a few weeks ago. A few weeks into it. If people read any of the local news, which did not get national attention, I actually kind of got into this with someone on Facebook and posted some links to even other Native Americans in the area, in their towns, and they were complaining about the camping, the abandoned cars, the trash on the sides of the roads and in their dumpsters, that they were trespassing on private property in order to camp out. They were asking locals for money for places to stay, all in the name of the good cause of defeating the pipeline access. And even people that may have been sympathetic to their cause were being turned off by their actions. And this seems to be a problem a lot with protests of any kind, not just marches where you're marching for something and it's scheduled for 4 hours or whatever it is, and then people leave. But when it's really like a protest and people are hunkering down for hours upon hours, and then this one, of course, months, then this is always the result. There is always a massive trash issue afterwards, and it costs the local citizens and tax dollars and the counties to have to clean it up, and the cities, and that's just not fair. But, whatever, they were speaking out against the man, so who cares, right?
Well, who cares if you're trashing the environment while you're trying to save the environment? That's why we have, that's why we have people that pick that kind of stuff up. I mean, come on, It's the same kind of argument that we got when, these same people that were protesting in D.C. trashed the area right in front of the Trump building, and then somebody came up with this bright idea of, we'll just tell them it was a protest. It wasn't a protest. They just didn't want to pick it up. It wasn't a protest. They didn't leave those signs there as a protest. They left them there because these people don't know how to clean up their own messes because they're used to the government taking care of everything for them. Sorry, I'm ranting, but it just annoys me.
Well, yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's like, well, that's not my problem because this is, and also it's like the greater good. Well, if your greater good is about protecting the environment while you're trashing the environment, then you've lost your credibility. You don't care about the greater good. You care about a specific thing, and you probably have a certain agenda. And don't tell me that it's just the environment. It's about bringing down that specific company and trespassing on their lands, which they allowed, by the way. They allowed them to protest on their lands while trespassing. And then also, the latest thing is, of course, it intensifying because Trump was nominated for president, that he won the election. He was elected president. So they, that made it worse for them, that they amped it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, then there's the whole thing of, now there's executive orders that are going to wind up making sure that the rest of the pipeline access gets taken care of. And now you have all these armchair auspice holders and treaty experts that are like, so the treaties with our people mean absolutely nothing. The areas that they're talking about running this pipeline through now have nothing to do with the treaties that were signed. Absolutely nothing.
Well, the other thing that a lot of people don't know is that they spent the better part of 2 years in and out of these communities and all the areas where this pipeline would run, which, by the way, there are also hundreds of other pipelines already in the ground running all under these same areas. And they are, and they did not have the kind of disapproval when they were in these communities and what it will mean for them. And there's a particular group of Sioux Indian that are known to be basically hysterical activists. And I know this pretty well from some stuff I dealt with some things that happened in Oklahoma near my family's land. But they are, and I've read about it a lot. I've learned a lot about it over the last maybe 5 years. I can't even remember when I was first introduced to this group, and it was like, wait, what? So the council, they are pretty activist in going after areas all over the country. And as we know, they were one of the tribes that was kind of a conquering tribe, I guess you could say. And so they have been extremely spread out over much of America. So they can kind of claim areas all over. It's not necessarily, just kind of limited to a couple different regions. So they tend to go wherever the noise is and make more noise by claiming their heritage and things related to that. And so as soon as I saw that involved, I went, oh crap, here they go again, And I think that it's something that needs to be taken into consideration, but most people don't know. They don't know that they've gone and fought for like the smallest things in random places because they have possibly two Indians buried there from a battle. So that's a sacred ground. This is kind of par for the course for them. And I think it's important to note that they don't have the support of everybody in the tribe, nor do they have the support of other tribes. And in fact, a lot of times they are disgruntled with them and they're kind of very toward interference in some of these issues and the idea that they get the media attention and they speak for them. Of course, there are a lot of people that just go along with it and they assume that they have researched it and they know what they're talking about and that that's a good thing for Native Americans in general. So it's kind of a confusing and complicated issue, but it is important to, if anybody just even searches some of the towns around there and some of the other Native American tribal leadership in the area of DAPL, that they will find that they are not all in agreement with the protests. And in fact, some that even were before got soured by it because of the actions of the protesters and of that Sioux Council.
It's just, I don't know. All of it just amazes me. It's way, way, way too much. It just really is. And this is just to prove to Slick that I am reading the chat.
I'm a nasty woman. A loud, vulgar, proud woman.
See, I do pay attention. All right, so we've got one last little story that I actually came across that I thought might be a good one to end the show on because we are just about out of time. This is actually from Fox 10. I think it's out of Phoenix. Girl 7 from England writes letter to Google asking for a job and actually gets a response from their CEO. Chloe Bridgewater, who lives in Hereford, England, reportedly wrote a letter to Google to see if they would give her a job, and she got a response she'll remember forever. The letter, shared by her father and published on Business Insider, begins with, "Dear Google boss," and goes on to make a pretty good case My name is Chloe, and I would like a job with Google. I also want to work in a chocolate factory and do swimming in the Olympics. She goes on to say, my dad said I can sit on beanbags and go down slides and ride go-karts if I get a job with Google. She goes on to list her interests and skills. I like computers too and have a tablet I play games on. My dad told me to give you an application to get a job, Google. I don't really know what one of them is, but he said a letter would do for now. She concludes with, thank you for reading my letter. I have only ever sent one other, and that was to Father Christmas. Goodbye. To her surprise, she actually got a response, and this is the reply. February 3rd, 2017. Dear Chloe, thank you so much for your letter. I'm glad that you like computers and robots and hope that you will continue to learn about technology. I think if you keep working and following your dreams, you can accomplish everything you set your mind to, from working at Google to swimming in the Olympics. I look forward to receiving your job application when you are finished with school. I thought that was kind of cool.
That is pretty neat. I always think it's awesome when, companies actually respond.
Oh man, it's just one of those things, and again, it's just the things we never hear about. And I wish that was one thing that would change with the news. If we spent as much time talking about the positive things that go on around us as we do the negative things, the world would be such a much better place. Because the simple fact of the matter is, when you focus on the negative, and for those of you that unfortunately have jobs and side jobs and part-time jobs and aspirations of making it become a job like doing radio broadcasting, one of the things you have to do is immerse yourself in the news cycle. So what I'm going to tell you is the same thing I tell everybody. Take at least one day a week, I don't care what day it is, and unplug. Get yourself off the computer, get yourself away from your phone, turn off the TV. I don't care. I mean, you don't even necessarily have to turn off the TV. Turn on your favorite video game. Do something to get your mind off of the craziness. Because if you immerse yourself in this 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week news cycle, and you do it indefinitely, eventually you will go insane. Because they want you to. Because they want you worried. They want you focused on what the next big story is going to be, what the next big headline is going to be, because that's going to get them clicks, and that's going to get them buys, and that's going to get them viewership. And that's all they care about. This isn't about bringing you information anymore, folks. It's about how can we keep you on the hook. That's what everybody cares about that does this business for profit. And to a point, that's even us. I mean, we want to do our best to entertain you. We're going to give you the best stories that we can find. We're going to talk to you about them in a way that we hope entertains and informs you. But at the same time, we're hoping that you listen. The only difference is I don't want you going to bed having nightmares. Which is, it seems, the ultimate goal of regular media anymore now everywhere. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll start doing a weekly thing where we find a couple positive stories on the way out the door. If we can find them, because they're few and far between, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there are a lot of these out there, and I think it's just, everything's about drama lately. And unless somehow it's something like a video or whatever that makes it viral, that just like hits the sweet spot and goes viral, then we often tend to not see these things. And I do try to, when they come across, share them on my TL and make sure that people, see them, because I do think it's important, and it helps keep us a little sane to know that there's still some positivity and humanity in the world.
Speaking of which, since we didn't actually do a show Tuesday because I got kidnapped for Valentine's Day, there was another one that I actually wanted to talk about, and then I got distracted by this one as far as positive stories, because this came across my TL, and it honestly surprised me, and it's something that I didn't even know happened, and apparently nobody really knew about it or talked about it until after he died. So for those of you who don't know, the founder of Little Caesars Pizza actually died recently. There was a news story, I think it came out yesterday, about the fact of he heard, I believe Rosa Parks at the time was like 80 or 81. He had heard a news story that she had recently been robbed, and he felt the need to help, so he had secretly been paying her rent for years before she passed. Didn't tell anybody, didn't make a big deal about it. He just started paying her rent.
Wow. Wow. I had not heard that.
So, I mean, it's those type of things that I think people need to start trying to find a way to focus on. And maybe it's just me. Maybe after this election cycle and seeing how many friends and people that I care about can't even really stand to be on social media together anymore. Maybe it's a change that I'm going to have to make, because I can't keep doing this in the negative way that it's been done for the last 2 years. Because I started all of this to make a difference, and in some ways I think we are, but in other ways I think we're failing, because in some ways we get ourselves so caught up in the cycles and so caught up in trying to give everybody our opinions on the top stories of the day that we lose track of the things that honestly shouldn't matter. There are so many different ways and places where people still look out for each other every single day, and nobody talks about them because they're too busy talking about who shot who for what over it on what corner of this street, and who did what to who over here, and who's screwing over who in the government. I mean, now there's this big story coming out through WikiLeaks yet again, because Obama made this big deal about the Russians influencing our election. Apparently, WikiLeaks is releasing proof that the Obama administration influenced the French election. Why am I not surprised?
The world we live in.
All right, well, believe it or not, we are officially out of time, so why don't you do what you always do on the way out the door and remind folks where they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me.
Absolutely. I'm on Twitter at jhomestead. And then I have a website blog thing going with some really great smart people, and its website address is misfitspolitics.com. Misfitspolitics.com. Almost messed that up.
She's got that there website blog thingy going now.
Yeah, you know, and if you go to that Misfits, yep, that's it.
Oh, it was funny. Today at work, I actually was complimented on the fact that I was from Oklahoma and don't sound like an Okie. And I'm like, well, you have no idea how I used to talk as a child. And we were on the phone long enough that I finally just told her, I said, well, part of the reason why I don't really have much of an accent is because I actually do radio part-time. And I also moved all over the country, and I used to be made fun of in my teenage years because I used to sound an awful lot like this right here. And she's like, oh my God, no wonder you started working on the accent. I said, exactly. All right, but we are on the way out the door, folks. Stay tuned. Here in about 5 minutes or so, as soon as I can make the turnaround, I'll be live right back with you with America Off the Rails, and we'll talk about more of the stories that are going on in the news today. Maybe a couple other positive things. I have a couple other things on tap here. And, of course, we'll be live back here again tomorrow night for the Robinson and Wright Show, beginning what should hopefully be a semi-stress-free 3-day weekend for those of you that get President's Day off. So in case I don't see you before then, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Take care. God bless. And we are out.
Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. Cause I'm proud as hell, I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.